use haircutting or anything as a form of discipline, prison time. Like, zero exaggeration. I 100% mean that. I'm not being
like you believe a nigga should go to jail.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. There's other shit that will get you a year in prison that's not as bad as what this woman did to her child. Like, it was difficult to watch that video. The way that girl's face froze as she had to watch herself on camera have her own hair chopped off of her head by a person who she believed was tasked with caring for her unconditionally is like heartbreaking. Like, doing that to a child, let alone your child who you're supposed to be taking care of, prison time.
See, that's a red flag. It's a red flag.
Or let's say like you're an investment banker. You're leaving work at fucking 3 a.m. You want a fucking like prime cut steak at fucking 3 a.m. You can get that shit in New York. You can get that shit in LA. You can get that shit in Chicago. You can not get that shit in Atlanta.
And experientially, you go like, oh, it's a gallery opening at like a fucking queer nightclub where they're doing AI projection art, and it's like, oh, it's at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Like, that's happening in New York.
So specific.
Well, yeah, I was trying to,
that's a specific
that's
shit,
the
bro.
point.
Like,
yeah.
Like the
Where
shit
it's
that
like
people
Atlanta,
tell me that happens in like Lisbon, that shit's not happening in Atlanta. And I love Atlanta. It's my favorite city ever, but like,
it doesn't have a lot
that
of
you just can't do
institutions.
there.
Yeah, let's get into the podcast. Let's go ahead and do it. Welcome everybody to Waving the Red Flag, the #1 dating and festive, festivus, summer solstice, podcast in the universe. It's your boy Eddie. It's Josh. It's Alvin. Merry Christmas. Merry Kwanzaa. Merry Hanukkah. Whatever else. You know what I'm saying? Whatever pagan holidays you celebrate.
Yeah, I would like to bless the mic with a brief Christmas carol.
A choir? Yeah.
With
a choral? What's it called? A carol, yeah.
A carol. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Do 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 do. And have yourself a merry little.
Nice. Yo, number one goat singer, Nat King Cole. That's my top one.
So first of all, I was 100% finna go there. I don't know if it was. I've been rewatching Chappelle's show. I don't know if that's where it came from, but I 100% was like, this is reminiscent of some Nat King Cole shit. Okay.
Yeah, because I think Nat King Cole he has a cover of
it,
or like
he has
done
the
one,
best.
He's an entry.
Yeah,
bar none. He's the best. I would say Frank Sinatra and like Bing Crosby are like on that same type of list, but he's the best one to do that. Like,
I think he's the best
60s,
vocalist.
Smoky, like Mad Men.
He's a better
Carol,
vocalist than
Smoke on
both
a
of
Plane
them,
type
bro.
shit. Interesting. Yeah. I
think the big band era. I think Sinatra and Crosby and that crew had a better band backing them.
Okay, interesting. But pound for pound, voice wise, Nat King Cole is the nigga on that. Yeah, I give you that. Yeah.
They don't call him the king for nothing.
They sure don't, man. God damn. Impeccable. All right, let's see. What we want to do topics wise. Boom, boom, boom.
You want to start with the one that had you all enraged online?
Okay, well, I'm enraged about everything. Which one was it? Because I did have one, but I wonder if it's the same one that I was enraged about.
I'm pretty sure it's the same one. I saw you in the comments, goddamn. I was like, well, here this nigga go talking spicy again. Some niggas he don't know on the internet.
Hey, I was thinking that. I was like,
well, hey, all right.
niggas is in fitted caps. I need to be careful who the fuck I'm talking to. But, it's not, my face is not on the picture, so I was like, all right.
Oh, like, all right, nah, nigga, because you use the podcast account. It could be any one of us saying this shit.
Yeah, it's true. Everybody gets got. Hey, shit. I'm not gonna. Yeah.
The one about the mom who cut her daughter's hair for being on fuckery.
Yes, have we all seen the original video or at least bits of it?
I just saw like the video from what you sent.
I saw.
So I didn't see the whole thing.
Okay. But Alvin, because it was doing the rounds on Twitter, because that's where I saw it first was Twitter. I didn't expect it to blow up, but then I started seeing it everywhere.
Yeah, I saw the whole thing.
Come here, you're gonna learn today, girl. No physical discipline. Don't mind.
Yeah, that.
Not much controversy, honestly. Not on the Twitter sphere. Like everybody's pretty aligned on like it being
definitely,
bullshit.
Definitely. Yeah. Like I think it wasn't even. Yeah, it wasn't even because I tweeted about it and people were like all agreeing with what the take was. So it wasn't even like I think the only controversy was that the mother in the video was conducting herself as if she wasn't victimizing her child. So it was like, but everybody else was pretty much flaming her. But then I saw Cruise Season do a take on it, and oh boy, I don't know his name, but he was like, yeah, look, sometimes you got to show it, and I'm like,
Come here, you're gonna learn today, girl. No physical discipline. Don't mind.
First thing out her mouth was, you just act like pretty is more important than education. So obviously, she been having this conversation with her for a long time.
But you're saying it's justified?
Whatever methods you got to go through to get to your kids, bro.
Damn.
Because you got to realize, one day she gonna be off that porch. Mm-hmm. One day. Mm-hmm. If I let you keep bumping your head and you don't give a damn, the moment you jump off this porch, you gonna be right back over here, and you ain't gonna know how to do shit.
Absolutely fucking not. Like, not even on some like maybe, or it's like different people raise their kids differently, or you do your 0% I've said, if you use haircutting or anything like similar to that as a punishment, or really against any person for any reason, but specifically against a minor as a form of discipline, prison time. Like, zero exaggeration. I 100% mean that. I'm not being
you believe a nigga should go to jail?
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't agree with that, but
go for it. But yeah, no, that is 100% my take.
I'm trying to think of like what my alternative would be, because like I feel equally as strong about it being bullshit. So I'm trying to think about what my alternative would be, and like shit, I don't have one. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what like I'm doing other than like CPS and the law getting involved. Like I just don't have an alternative.
Yeah, like, now look, there's an argument to be made for if you're a prison abolitionist and your view is that no crime should be, you know, so when I'm saying stuff like that, it's like, in our current system, the shit there's other shit that will get you a year in prison that's not as bad as what this woman did to her child. Like, it was difficult to watch that video. The way that girl's face froze as she had to watch herself on camera have her own hair chopped off of her head by a person who she believed was tasked with caring for her unconditionally is like heartbreaking. Like, low key, again, not exaggerating. Doing that to a child, let alone your child who you're supposed to be taking care of, prison time. That's the only thing that we have in society for that kind of accountability when you commit a crime like that. Now, we can talk about another utopian society where pedophiles go to a retreat to be de-pedophiled and all that type of shit. We don't live in that type of world. We use prison for that. That's what this is.
That's not even considered a crime, though.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
Like, no, man.
I mean, like
dead ass, like CPS. Like, if somebody called, CPS could come to her house.
Yeah,
CPS
for sure. Like,
come
for
to
sure.
people's house for less.
Exactly, for less. Yeah. But like prison, like I get it. Like, and everybody is on the same page. Like, that was some bullshit. She went way too far. Like, that was not it.
Yeah.
But
line
prison,
crossed.
like you in jail with the robbers, the killers, the rapists, like the worst of the worst. Like, what the fuck you in here for? I gave my child a fucked up haircut. I mean,
so Josh, I agree. I agree with you, but like to Eddie's point,
like, yo,
I fucked my kid's hairline up, so yeah, I'm doing 8 months
every night.
I just don't know what the alternative is. Like, if like I had a good alternative in the moment, like I would posit one, because I don't necessarily think that like jail or prison time is the answer, but in the context of what we do in Western society right now, I just don't have an alternative. But I think there should be some form of punishment. I don't know if it's a fine. I don't know if it's like some sort of ticket. Like I just don't have a great answer. But I feel equally as strongly as Eddie. I feel equally that like there should be some sort of clear-cut punishment for this kind of behavior.
Be on the same page. Okay, how about this mandatory community service for some sort of child protection thing? I don't know, like some sort of like mandatory community service, because locking a nigga away in prison is just, you know.
Yeah. Okay, but let me contextualize.
Reform is not happening in prison system. You know what I mean?
But see, I don't disagree, but I feel like with some of these things we waver between saying that from a prison abolitionist perspective versus a like what deserves to be punished perspective. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if we're talking about R. Kelly, right? Are we arguing about whether or not he should be in prison? There are people who would, but the reason they're arguing for that is because they want everybody to be rehabilitated. So I feel like when in this argument, it feels like you're not just saying that she deserves to be rehabilitated in the way that all criminals do. You're saying that she is a class of criminal that is distinct from the murderers, rapists, and killers, which is true. But it seems like you're implying that what she did isn't that bad, and that's the thing that I'm
It
taking
is
issue
not as
with.
bad as murdering, raping, and killing somebody. Like,
Okay.
there's no talking on that one.
No,
it's not,
totally
it's
fair.
not.
So then here's the question. Tell me a murderer or a rapist or a serial killer who's in prison for a year. So let's compare apples and apples. For crimes where that a person does a year for, are you saying that none of those people should be in prison? Because that's who she'd be in prison with. That's probably the section she'd be in prison, like with people.
General population.
General
Just be,
population
you know,
of a low security prison. She's probably not with it. She's with other motherfuckers doing a year.
Nigga,
So-
there are people in Georgia that have done 7 deadlies that are fucking in Gen Pop. But
Yeah, no, okay,
Bro,
yes,
like, yeah,
fair
like,
enough.
it's
I should have
just
conceded
not-
that before. But my main point is just she's not doing a murder bid. She's doing
Yeah.
a year or whatever it is. So are we keeping that same energy for every criminal or every
First of-
incarcerated person who's doing a year
First
for
of all,
something?
I'm not a prison abolitionist. Like, I do believe that we should have prisons, but I'm a prison reform
that's what
type of
I'm saying.
nigga.
Okay.
I'm a prison reform type of nigga. Like, this prison, if you send somebody away or lock somebody up, depending on the crime, and also like depending your punishment should fit your crime. And there's a whole lot of intricacies and nuances that could
Yeah.
go into that, but I'm not about to have that.
Sure,
We ain't got to go that deep into
That's
it.
fair.
no, nigga,
But-
have the conversation, bro.
I mean, look, bro, I would need to sit down
Let's
and
get
write
into
that
it,
shit out,
bro.
blah, 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 because we got a lot of good topics I think we get to, but just for what I'm saying is I'm a prison reform type of person, and like the punishment should fit the crime, and like in this type of thing, that was a vile act to do to your child because she did so much damage to the relationship that between her and her daughter. Like that did so
Oh.
much fucking damage and trauma.
Yeah.
Like far beyond
that
what
ain't
was
finna get-
already
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
So
that ain't finna get solved. That's decades
Yeah.
of destroyed relationship. That's
Yeah,
you don't.
and-
That's some shit that comes out during a fight at Thanksgiving when that girl is 50. Like that shit ain't going away. Yeah,
I mean, it's not like they might not be able to move past it, but like once again, just
I highly
years,
doubt
decades
it. But,
of
yeah. Yes.
people. Hey, you know what?
People do change. The only reason
You
I
know,
say I doubt it is not because a person can't move past that, but because of the energy before and after that situation makes me think that person is not on a path to where that's likely to happen.
We don't know that.
The
That
way-
was a snapshot of some shit, and that's I also
Hey,
had like some talking
snapshots
points
are- yeah.
from that. But
Snapshots of photos, but yeah.
Indeed, but it's not a full story, and we don't know their entire life. But just basically just going back as far as like just the punishment fitting the crime, and if we're actually trying to rehabilitate people and then trying to teach people to do better, because it's not like she's not worthy of redemption or being rehabilitated or just being taught something.
We don't know that,
because
but
she
no, yeah,
acted
but yes.
in a moment of extreme fucking rage, fatigue.
No, the fuck she did.
Let
That
me-
shit
no,
was way too
Pause.
premeditated and
Let
calm,
me
but
finish,
sorry.
my nigga. Damn.
Yeah,
So I'm just saying she acted out, and from what it looked like to me, like she really acted out in a moment of just fucking rage. I'm done, goddammit. I'm by any means, which was fucked up. I do not agree with what she did whatsoever. But I'm just saying that I think that she should be put into some shit where she has to do mandatory community service where she is serving underserved children and something like that, just to kind of to facilitate that punishment. You know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at.
So
yeah.
I will hop in, and as I will remind our audience that I used to work for the court system for the state of Georgia for an anti-recidivism program. So Alvin is very much in the
subject
the
matter
camp
expert-ish.
of I don't want people in jail or prison outside of violent crime that is not related to drug or mental health situations. So I will say that I put this in line with people that have maybe done like simple assault as defined by Georgia, because Georgia defines like battery and assault a little bit differently than like other people think. Like so, like battery is like you put your hands on somebody. Assault is like you threaten somebody. So simple assault, theft below a certain amount, I put this in the realm of that. And yes, I don't think those people should go to jail or prison either. So like I'm at like a impasse with exactly how we do it, but I think that Josh posits a very, very thoughtful and I don't want to call it a punishment, restitution path for this individual, because I don't necessarily think that like prison or jail time is necessary, because again, like if I'm putting this in the realm of where I see it, which would be like simple assault, theft below a certain amount, I'd say probably less than $1,000. Like I'm putting it in that kind of realm, and I think there should be a punishment for those people, but I don't necessarily think it's jail time or prison time, because I honestly think that a lot of people don't realize how bad jails and prisons are. As a person who used to do that work, they are horrible fucking places.
This is my
those
issue.
are my thoughts.
I feel like Josh has not, or at least in the okay. So first of all, I disagree with the comparison to theft. Maybe petty assault, but I don't think it's not in the same category of theft when you talk about.
It's not in the same category, but
victim.
magnitude. I'm thinking magnitude.
What does magnitude mean here? If not suffering caused.
I think you could make a case for it to be equivalent in regards to suffering cause if you calibrate the amount. And I'm not saying that I have a good like calibration of the amount, but I'm thinking
if you
like,
can show me an example of a petty theft that is causing as much suffering as that child was
yeah,
subjected
man.
to,
When
then
niggas,
I'm
yeah,
open.
when niggas broke into my house when I was fucking 5 years old, when like they threatened my fucking safety and all that kind of shit.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's a totally different set of crimes.
No, if my motherfucking went to my head with a fucking clipper, it would probably be about as impactful.
I'm
as
saying
like
the opposite
that.
of what I'm saying. What you just described is not what anybody would think of when they say theft. What you're talking about is like half of that would be like a kidnapping charge. You've like threatened a child like with a weapon.
It depends.
That's a whole
It
different
depends.
situation.
It depends.
When I'm thinking
Like,
theft, I'm
so
thinking
you're
the amount
right.
of money stolen. So if you're going, threatening a child and terrifying them and traumatizing them in a situation where they think they might be harmed is equivalent to terrifying and traumatizing a child in a situation where they think they might be harmed. Yeah,
Which I
agree.
am. Which is why I picked those, and I picked like simple assault.
So my main point was just it's
the
not
context of
like
Georgia
theft.
for the audience.
It's not like theft. It's like if there's a specific theft that involves traumatizing a child, then sure, but it's not like theft. It's like a theft that involves also the same crime anyway. So I just wanted to make that like because I really want to talk to the moral magnitude of this situation, how much suffering the thing causes, and I think the thing that I feel like Josh, I feel like you didn't address in what I'm saying is like I'm down for the conversation about like prison reform. Let's make a difference. Let's change people's lives. Let's rehabilitate people. My issue is it feels like there's this. And I'd really like to hear your thoughts here. It feels like there's an undertone of you downplaying the seriousness of the crime. And so what I'm looking for is, are you keeping the same energy for other crimes that we also give a year for? And that those shouldn't be punished in the same way, because it feels like what you're saying is that what she did wasn't that bad. Like it was bad, it was vile, it crossed the line, but it was a little more than giving her child a bad haircut. And I'm like, I can't accept that. So I'm like, there's other crimes that we give a person a year because they're vile. Like if you beat your wife, if you assault your partner, if you sleep with a student as a teacher, et cetera, like those kinds of crimes.
I don't want to split hairs,
but
but like fucking aggravated battery in the state of Georgia is aggravated battery and aggravated assault are 7 deadlies. You can get fucking 15 years for that. Like easy. Like
okay.
I could easily.
Can you help me formulate my argument, because I think you understand what I'm talking about.
I think I understand. So I wanted to give an example, right? Do you think this is as bad as a DUI? Do you think this is as bad as a DUI?
I think that's a bad comparison. I
just want to calibrate. So you're right.
Okay.
You're right, but I want to calibrate.
Okay.
Is this as bad as a DUI in your estimation?
We talking me or Josh?
Josh.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's worse. This is worse. Shit. If we're just talking about someone getting in a car driving drunk and then getting pulled over, getting the DUI, whatever happens, no one got hurt, no one got killed. This instance that we're talking about is worse.
Okay. So we have a floor, because a lot of times DUI doesn't necessarily result in jail time. It results in fines. It results in suspended licenses. It results in you probably will spend the night in jail.
Yeah.
Like if
absolutely.
you get pulled over,
you definitely
you're probably
would.
going to spend the night in jail.
You're spending the night in jail, absolutely.
So I think we have a floor now. So I think
Okay,
now
so let's
we
go
can
up the scale and see
proceed.
what's up. So we've got something that is a crime, doesn't necessarily have mandatory prison time. Let's see if we can get up to a 6 month, a year, and see if we can make moral comparisons about stuff. Because that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Theft by receiving. Theft by
What's
receiving. So it's like if you receive stolen product and you know about it.
That's a
Theft by
year.
receiving. Yeah, year 6 months.
Okay, so is
We're in
that
that range now.
worse or better than that, Josh? For instance,
If I receive stolen products,
yeah, hot TV from Walmart, I suppose is what he's talking about.
what the mother did was, in my opinion, was worse than doing that shit. People do that shit all the time.
Yeah, they do.
That's a non-violent crime.
Yeah,
There was like a very, what is it called, a petty assault. It's kind of a petty assault. The way she goddamn
It low
grabbed
key
old
is
girl
assault.
head.
You
It's
low
assault.
key could call.
Yeah, it
You
was-
low
yeah.
key could call it simple assault.
Yeah.
if you did that to an adult, it's there's
If you did it to
that
an
wasn't
adult,
her
it's
child.
battery.
Okay,
If you did it to like an adult, that's fucking battery, and your ass is getting clanked.
so if you
somebody
did that
fucking
to an
cut my
adult,
hair-
what would the so if a bigger man than you, Alvin, were to pin you down or make you freeze in some way and then shaved your head, what crime would that count as, and what charge would it likely get them?
I'm thinking simple battery, bro. Like if I'm the fucking DA's office, I'm like simple battery.
And then what charge
You
does
touched me.
that end up likely getting?
But you probably gonna get probation.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're not spending a whole year in prison.
You're not gonna.
I mean, you're not even going to go to prison. That's jail.
Simple. Especially not if it's your first time. I think we're getting too much into the weeds on this though.
Yeah,
I just want to
that's-
steer past this, but like,
Yeah, sure. Maybe because, but I'm frustrated because sure, maybe we are getting into the weeds, but I feel like I'm trying to use detail to get at the actual question, which is like, how bad is this? Because it's easy to say something's bad, but to calibrate how serious it is really fucking difficult. And the thing that I was talking about, like when we were having this conversation on Twitter, is that I think that we underestimate not just how damaging it is to the relationship, but what the function of this behavior is. It's not discipline. It's an attempt to remind a individual that they are not human. It's a dehumanizing act. It's something that's used in war as psychological torture. It is meant to remind the victim that they are not a person, but that they are property, to destroy and transform their body in a way that doesn't draw blood in order to remind them of their station relative to you. Like, that kind of behavior we have to draw a very clear line in the sand. So sure, maybe I'm going too far in the weeds, but we got to call it what it is.
I'm with you 90% on that. I'm with you 90% on that. Like I have no real recourse for like full on disagreement with what you just said. Like, because at the end of the day, when it comes to especially with the black community,
Yeah.
and the trauma that's been passed down for generations, like just just getting your ass beat was just a common
It's
disciplinary
normal.
act.
It's normal.
It's normal. It's been so normalized, and like it's like that's all we know.
That's what
You
I'm
know what
talking.
I
It's
mean?
slavery shit.
Yeah. So I mean, with that, I'm with you, but I don't know necessarily in terms of like you're not a human, you're my property. Which, when you say as long as you're my child, you're living under my roof, those are property kind of terms. But I don't think they're necessarily unpacking that like that in the thought. But I mean, hey, I guess at the end of the day, that might not really matter. But if that's what you're doing, that's what you're doing.
I'm trying to
So-
tell you, it's slavery. It's slavery
Yeah.
thinking because
Yeah.
when we view children as property, so when we treat children as property, completely dehumanizing them, removing all of the things that are sort of required in the way you relate to a human being, especially in the black community, but in general, we keep it in house, country clubs. Speaking specifically here, it's like we normalize that to the point that it blinds us to even being able to fully comprehend the magnitude of these kinds of situations. We can say, oh, it's bad, it's too far, but just make that child an adult, right? Let's say if a police officer arrested somebody that they and they weren't sure that they had done the crime yet, and as punishment for what they thought they saw this person do, they shaved this person's dreadlocks off. Motherfuckers will be in the streets, understanding what they had just seen. But because it's a child and their abuser is their parent, we struggle to call it what it is. You see what I'm saying?
My only thing about this is also like one of my talking points when I saw the video coming prepared for the pod. Like, and this goes back to a conversation me and you, Vaddy, have had a couple times where we butted heads again in this. And it's like, and I don't have the answers, but my thing is like, as a parent, when you're raising a child who is don't respect you, not listening to you, not abiding by no rules, just disrespecting the fuck out of you, testing your gangster, testing your guy, like just testing you and constantly pushing you to that limit. What do you do? Now I'm not, once again, I don't agree with what the fuck that mom did, but it's just like at a point where you might fucking snap. And we might see a snapshot of some shit that could have been a result of a long-standing issue that might have been going on in that household. I don't know, but I'm just.
I think I have two answers to that question. One is place the word spouse in any question that you ask about a child and realize how crazy the question is. Not saying that you're crazy, but like just realize how different that conversation sounds. And two, I think that
that dynamic is different for you.
And why? And I think the question of why there makes a difference. And that leads into my other point, which is that I think that people get obsessed with like being respected by their kids as opposed to raising their kids. And I know that sounds crazy because, again, we have this slavery dynamic for what child rearing is supposed to be, that this is a person who is supposed to respect you. And it's like, your job is to make sure that they're happy and that they turn into a functioning adult. So
a parent's job is not simply to make sure that your kid is happy.
And functional, it is
functional. Okay. Yes,
that
happy.
I agree with. Functional.
Okay. Take because there's lots of implication to happy. Take that out of my point. Functional, right? The goal is to make them into a person that can operate in the world, not a person that gives you respect, not a person that makes you feel valued as a parent, not any of that shit. I know it sounds like 0%, but go ahead. 0%. That's part of it.
I have to disagree because.
It's nice.
Take your grown ass out into this world and you don't understand how to give and receive respect, and watch what happens to you. That road is not going to be good.
I think we also
this is different.
do
That's
this.
a different point.
Yeah, there's a different point
talking about
between
other
respect
people
and cordiality. There's a
that
different
too.
I don't have to respect anybody. Like I'm gonna be 100% like this is me. This is my face. If I don't know you, I don't fucking respect you. Like I have a baseline set of cordiality where I'm going to say, like, thank you. I'm not going to like try to like bum rush you. Like if like we're walking on the same like path, that kind of shit. Like you can 100% like move through like the regular world without like respect as the denotation of respect is defined.
How many people are you actively disrespecting though?
That is different. You're right. That is different. And you're right about that point.
Okay.
I agree.
Here's my issue. I think that we are confusing the subjective feeling of distress that occurs when somebody disrespects you with the danger that it poses to that person being disrespectful to the wrong person. So I agree with you that you do need to raise your child in a way that they can keep from getting their ass beat, that they can keep from losing their job, that they can operate with other people, etc., etc. I agree completely. I think that the problem is that in the way that you're phrasing it, you're confusing that with not wanting to have the feeling of your child not respecting you. And that's where a lot of people in this conversation are coming from. They're not going like, hey, I need to make sure that you're able to, and I know there's room for disagreement here, but like they're not saying, hey, I'm trying to raise you so that you don't get fired from every job that you do, so that you don't get your ass beat by talking crazy to the wrong person, et cetera, et cetera. That's not what that's the excuse that they use, but what they're saying is, you are my property, you need to respect me. I don't like how it feels when I am being disrespected by my child because we are in a slavery dynamic. When my parent, I treated them as my master, and so the social contract is that now I have a child, you need to make me feel like a master. And that's what people are upset about. They're not scared for their child in the future because half the time they're not even raising them right for that situation any fucking way.
So
I think, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So my thing is like a lot of times when we talk about the point that Josh made, not made up. That's the wrong phrasing. The point that Josh accurately brought to the forefront is that sometimes you have children that are in these households that are uncontrollable in the sense that like not that I want to be property, but in terms of like I can't make them a functional human being.
True.
I will say.
I don't think that was the point that he made, but I think that that's part of his point. But yes.
Yeah. I will say that I still put the onus on the parents to figure out how they make them functional adults and relatively happy, because I do think that sometimes being a functional adult is dealing with life despite the fact that you're not happy. I think that those parents need to figure out how to do that. And the example that I figure makes sense is that you have a lot of these at-risk youth that ultimately do have somebody that reaches them, whether it's a caseworker, whether it's a social worker, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a football fucking coach, whether it's a fucking band director. Like, you know how many kids I know that were like had horrible lives at home that like only like straightened up because they wanted to fucking play trombone. You know how many fucking kids I know that did? Yeah. Because the band director held them accountable and was like if you got to straighten up and do XYZ, or like you're not going to be able to fucking march and play French horn on fucking Fridays. You know what I mean? So like, I think I put the onus on the parent to figure out the strategy that works, because there is a strategy that works for literally every child. Yeah, that is my only caveat. But I 100% understand what Josh is coming from. I think it's a nuanced situation. I don't think it's as black and white as Eddie is putting it forth.
I think it's a little bit more black, because I think when we have this conversation about child abuse, we have it from two lanes, one of which I think is wrongheaded. So we have it from the utilitarian perspective, which is sort of what you're getting at, which is like there are better tools that we have available to us to help children than assaulting them, than striking them, than hitting them, whatever. And I think that's a point that gets brought up a lot. I think it's wrongheaded. I think the other point is that there are some actions of abuse, of violence, of harm that are never acceptable tools to use in interacting with other people, almost under any circumstance. And I think that's the argument that you start with, and then you go, given that this is off the table, what do we then do? Not, oh, well, yeah, I could beat a minor, or I could talk to them. Which one is more utility is the completely backwards nonsense way of approaching that problem. I think here's what's allowed within that. What do we do?
I think your utility obviously can like 100% be in the caveat that some things are off the table.
Yeah, agreed.
Like nobody that I mentioned, no profession that I mentioned, no context that I mentioned involves beating a child, for example. And agreed. I think we all understood that upon hearing it. So
no, agreed. And if it came across like I was saying that you were purely making the utilitarian argument, I retract that. My point was that the points that you were bringing up were utilitarian, and often in these discussions, those are the two paths that are taken. Not that you were weighing over whether we should or should not beat children or not.
My thought, though, is that I think it's nuanced. And I will say that, like, I'm 99% of the way with where Eddie is. But, like, as a person who, like, would rather, and has seen the numbers and has seen, like, what this does to people, I would rather non-violent offenders not be in prison. Like, I'm just like,
look, I mean, I think y'all understand the bit of the conversation that I'm taking issue with. I'm happy to discuss what the things should be and what actual outcomes are with regard to prison reform. My issue is I don't think that we're at a clear consensus on the nature of this particular type of unacceptable behavior and where it falls on the spectrum, as evidenced by the follow-up conversation. So I pretty much entirely agree with what you're saying, Alvin, and like Josh, I'm on board for the reform question. My issue is I don't want us using it as a way to skirt around making a clear moral stance on this entire group of behaviors that is very normalized in society. The child abuse conversation.
I mean, I wasn't trying to act like that didn't deserve some sort of a punishment or downplay it.
Do you understand what I'm saying, or not so much?
I understand what you're saying, but but once again, my mindset is like, I want people to actually. I'm for people actually healing. And just more punishment on top of
I agree. I don't think you're getting what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you're getting what I'm saying, like, in a sense, like, but I mean, I might not understand what you're saying.
No, I think I am, but yeah.
Maybe, but I don't know, G. Like, I don't know if you necessarily feel where I'm coming from all the way. Okay. And that's okay. But
not necessarily, but it'll be okay. Yeah.
I mean, you still my nigga. I still love you. We don't have to, always understand each other.
Okay. When I say, I don't mean in the context of a relationship. I mean that what we're talking about is serious. Like I don't view it as a joke type of a thing. So like it's what I'm not saying from a relational perspective. I'm saying from like it's not agree to disagree type of a topic. So it's a thing that'll probably be discussed more. That's all I meant. Not like, oh, but just like.
No,
I know.
I didn't say that to question our relationship. That's not what that was about. But I'm just saying that just in me, how I think about just the human beings and how fucked up we are. We're all so goddamn broken, traumatized, carry so much anger, pain, hurt, and it's just hurting people.
True.
I'm not trying to take away from anything of the severity and but I'm kind of thinking, okay, well, how can we heal past that? Like, how can we really get people to heal and then actually be better so they can do better for the next generation? That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I don't mean to gaslight, but I feel like, I get it. I think I understand everything. I take issue with the last sentence that you're saying, which is that,
what was the last sentence I said? Which
was that I'm not taking away anything from the severity of this. I feel that you, not necessarily are, but that I think the conversation that we had after that, and maybe Weezy a little bit, but I feel like the bit after that of like, well, what do you do with an unruly child? Like that conversation, I think is the reform bit, cool. But I think there's still a conversation that we are, and I don't think I'm misunderstanding you, which is that, and so I don't think I'm misunderstanding you. I think I'm addressing what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's because I don't have the answers, but like that's a genuine question. It's like how, and I get it. Like, you know, the onus is on the parent. Like, you should find ways, but it's not a manual on this shit. Like,
no,
we can talk all day. Cool. But we can talk all day and discuss all this shit all day, but none of us have kids. Like, Alvin is the closest one, but those aren't his direct kids. Like, his nephews, like, of course, like, he's doing his job, like, doing his part, like, rearing them as well. But they're not at his house all day, every day. Like, when he comes home, like, none of us can really relate to that. But what I'm saying is, like, and growing up in my house, watching my older brother and, like, the relationship between my sister and my mom. And not even saying that there was some issues, but not even saying that they was just like the worst of the worst or whatever. But it's still like there's instances where I'm like, damn, it ain't got to be like this. Like, I know you didn't have, like, you as the child didn't have to do that. When my mom, the mom is just trying to help, and like she's not one of these angry, authoritative, and then I'm gonna whoop yo. Well, actually, she did beat us, but you know, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, as a parent, what do you do when your child is just not listening? Like, because that's a genuine ass question. Like, when they're just unruly as fuck, don't listen, don't respect. And I'm a big proponent of respect. I believe that you have to be a person worthy of respect to get it, or at the very least, prove to me why you don't deserve respect or why I should disrespect you just off GP.
I don't know, bro. I feel like we went in a circle just then.
Maybe so, but I mean, I
feel like you made that point, Matt, asked those questions. I said a bunch of stuff, and then we went back up. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about it.
That's what you brought up. And because I have a question. I already
addressed what you said, and then I was waiting for you to respond, and then you circled back to your previous point about prison reform. So I'm saying, like, the question, like, what I'm saying is, one, I think maybe I shouldn't repeat myself. Do you want me to?
I'm just, like, what are you looking for? Like, exactly what question do you want me to answer? Like, what thing am I missing? Like, I might be having a Patrick moment.
Maybe it's but like, because you asked the question of, like, when you have an unruly child, that it is really difficult to get control of them, et cetera, et cetera. You made the point about respect, and then I brought up a point which Alvin then built on. So I'm not looking for, like, an answer to a question. Like, you asked a question, I gave like a contextualizing answer, which wasn't like an end all be all, because like you said, we don't have the end all be all. And then I'm looking for your response to that. We just went in a circle and we're back where we already were about 10 minutes ago.
What was your point?
So what I was saying is that, like, one, I think that the obsession with respect is built in a dynamic that doesn't have anything to do with raising the child well. So that was one point that I made. So I think the question there is flawed a little bit. And the other thing is, I think the question of, like, what do you do when you can't control your child? I think that question implies that you have to control your child under any circumstances, no matter what it requires. And what I was suggesting is that sometimes there's stuff that's off the table. So I don't have the answer for how you control an unruly child, but I think that why we're asking that question matters, right? If I ask, hey, how do I resolve an argument with my spouse? There's a very clear bubble drawn around what acceptable answers are for that. And I think that the problem with the question around children is that we're doing it as a way of opening the bubble instead of saying, here's what you can do. So what can you do to control an unruly child? Because this conversation, that question was brought up in response to us talking about physical child abuse. So that was the response that I gave to all that stuff that you just said. And so I'm going, what do you think about what I've said?
Okay. That's a lot, bro.
Well, yeah.
Because when I said what I said, like, because it's honestly just sometimes it's just some shit that I think about just on a daily basis. And I brought up that question just as an opportunity to just ask the question, like, and once again, it didn't have anything to do with the abuse that the mother did onto her child in that video.
Okay.
I'm not cool with that shit. Like, I'm not, and once again, that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not trying to take away from nothing or the severity on nothing. I'm just also saying, like, I have this question because, like, I see it. Like, you do, and Alvin gave a really good talking point to what you can do is, like, maybe find something more constructive for them to do with their time, or what do they care about? Like, you know, attach it to something, attach the punishment to something that they might care about. Give them a reason to want to kind of,
I think that's a great answer.
fall in line. I don't have the answers, but that's all I'm saying. It wasn't, once again, not to take away from anything.
Okay.
And I will say that I think that oftentimes, and this is something that me and my sisters learned, and my brother-in-law learned over time, because my sister was an adult when she had my first nephew, but she was a very, very young adult. And I will say that she was a very, very young adult with a lot of life experience. Like, she took care of me, like all that kind of shit. But that was very much a learning process, and we very much adapted our strategies for working with my nephews over time, given the fact that we were all very young when the first one was born. But I think that a lot of times parents neglect exactly how smart children are. I think that's something that, like, 100% gets lost in the sauce. So I'll for example say, and again, this is a dichotomy with this kind of like respect angle, right? So my third oldest nephew, his father would in the past often tell him not to do something, and he'd just say, you know, don't do that. And my nephew would respond with you know, Daddy, why? Like, why? Not even in like a disrespectful kind of nature, just like a curious childlike nature. And my brother-in-law would fly off the handle, like, you don't ask me why. Like, I just gave you a directive.
Yeah.
I just told you why. I just told you what to do. And we ultimately had to understand that, like, this is a sentient, intelligent being.
Yeah.
And if we give him reasons, if we explain the whys, if we really sit down and rationalize with them that these beings are smarter than, like, I think that we understand as adults. And I've said it before jokingly, I think that, like, all adults turn 25 and, like, forget that, like, children are smart. Like, we forget that we had some kind of, like, level of intelligence.
We
like,
just
when we were
completely
kids,
forget that we had this whole period of life that we were, you know, functioning,
like,
operating,
we could make
full
fucking
thoughts.
decisions. We could do this kind of stuff. So, like, I think that what we've done as a unit, you know, my sisters, my brother-in-law, myself, I think we've really sat down and realized that, like, you can have conversations with children. And when I see videos like that one that happened, I guarantee you that she didn't have a real conversation with her daughter. No. I guarantee you that she did.
I can
Because I guarantee you that if you have real conversations with kids, they'll at least try. I'm not saying they're going to get it right 100% of the time,
and they'll try
but they'll
more often
fucking
than not.
try.
Like,
yeah, and
if
your job as a fucking
real
parent,
crazy ass street child, because and to shoot bail to Josh, there are, I 100% agree, understand that there are kids that are crazy as fuck, like,
and they will fuck up,
and
they will fuck up,
and those kids do exist to where it's like this we need to talk about Kevin Ash kid that happens. But the thing is, I feel like people forget, like, kids mostly, even the unruly ass kids, they mostly still defer to you more than they don't. Like, even some of the craziest kids, they still come home to your house. They still look to you as the authority, and even if they're rebelling, even the act of rebelling is like it's low-key half an act of submission. Because
look at what most kids rebel when they do right. They're doing shit that is very low stakes ultimately, right?
And well within the structure. Like, look, if a mother, if somebody's like, you know, stealing your fucking if a kid's like stealing your pension or like stealing your identity and like refinancing your home and fucking up your mortgage, like, okay, cool. Kids aren't doing that.
Niggas are making
doing
C's.
shit, yeah.
They're making fucking C. Like, I'm gonna cut
Right.
your hair because you made a fucking C minus or some shit.
It's
Like
crazy.
you came
Playing
back home
hooky
an
and shit,
hour
you know?
later than curfew. Like, that's most of the shit that's happening.
Yeah, doing
it's
drugs or
very low
whatever.
stakes stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that my
It's mostly them exploring their own autonomy over their body and, you know, their ability to fuck their own life
Yes.
up, like, which is bad and you do need to correct. But it's like, yeah, it's.
And
like,
I just have
kids
very
are
strong feelings
mostly
about
they're
that.
still acting as your kid when they're in your house, by and large, even when they're on some crazy reckless bullshit. Like,
Yes.
so I think there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot more. And I don't have kids, so I'm, you know. But I think that I don't think that should discount what we're talking about either, because we're people and we've been kids and we've got friends that have kids and I've seen other people raise kids healthily. Like, it ain't impossible. It's not this like magical thing that doesn't happen. Like, I see it happen all the time. People doing a great job or better job of raising kids, even when it's really difficult. So it's very.
My sister was an amazing parent. I say that shit all the time. Like I thank them both. Both my older sisters, and again, when my mother like completely checked out, my oldest sister was an adult. My second oldest sister was not an adult. I think they did a phenomenal job. I think if they could write books, like I wish they would. So like it can be done. So I think that that's something to definitely like give context to the conversation that we're having. But I 100% would strive to make it so that adults understand that children can be reasoned with by and large. Like, you have
To a
problem
great
cases,
deal, yeah.
sure, but
And
they
like-
can be reasoned with past a certain age.
And before because I want to go into maybe the video about Michelle Obama talking about her first year with Obama, but like after having a child. But
Oh,
also
I had strong feelings about that. I had strong
Okay, interesting.
feelings
I want to
about
hear that. So the last bit I was just going to say is with regard to the respect thing, I go, sure, like, as you said, kids are fucking, but they're human beings with autonomy, so which means that they can be reasoned with, but also means that like a lot of the motivations for why they do shit is just the same motivations for why the fuck you do shit. They're just in a different situation than you. So it's like, yeah, you get drunk on the weekends too, my nigga. Like, and so does your kid want to do that shit. Like, that's what you do. Obviously, they're in a different context, so the ramifications and consequences of that are different. So that behavior needs to be controlled, guided, etc., in a way that yours doesn't necessarily. Cool. My question is like, and this is addressing something that Josh said, is like, what's the worst that's going to happen in the situation where you can't get them to do exactly what you want? And if the only answer to that is that your feelings are hurt, then you just got to eat that. You're grown. Like, grow up. You'll be okay if your feelings are hurt. Now, if it's this kid's getting arrested, this kid's getting their ass beat, this kid's overdosing, this kid's failing out of school, etc., cool, I understand. But if the only consequence is just like you feel like your kid's not respecting you, but everything else is going, like if your kid's got straight A's and they're going and whatever, but they don't respect, it's like that's your problem, not theirs, is my view.
I also just think that kind of comes back to a point of what Alvin said earlier too, is just like not actually explaining the whys
It makes a big difference
behind
yeah.
what you're telling them. Yeah, like actually communicating with your kid and like just breaking shit down, because they do ask questions for a reason, because they need to learn. They learning.
What's going
They're
on?
curious.
What is,
And then
what is
also
it? Yeah.
one thing I did forget was also a possible solution, or maybe help, family therapy. You know, actually,
Definitely, yeah.
because like
You
a
can
lot of
afford
these
it,
parents don't
yeah.
even have the tools, the words, the know-how to even
all.
communicate with their kids. So you
Yeah.
need that mediator there who can, just like, you know, you would with
Translate, yeah.
spousal therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So going to family therapy.
Yeah, because people, I mean, fuck, we struggle to. I mean, I was also gonna say, like, I feel like, God damn, like, I know we're all having kids all of the time, like human beings. That's just what we do. So I can't really talk about shoulds and coulds, because motherfuckers are just going to have kids and they're going to keep creating this situation. But I feel like when you are in a situation where you can't manage your child and you can't get them to see reason, you can't get them to respect your authority when that's appropriate, or understand your reasoning or express your emotion, it's like, bro, you created this situation. Like, you were a grown person who decided to have a child, and now you're in this situation and you're acting like your kid did something to you. It's like, you did this. But
But what if you're in Texas, Eddie?
yeah, but
What if you're in
like,
Louisiana, Eddie?
yeah, and even with the abortion thing, it's like, even with you when you do have access to abortion, to be fair, we don't even really question childbearing enough for me to really blame the adults for that. Like it's just a thing you're supposed to do, so people don't even question it to really call it like a conscious decision. I don't know. Which
I was so ready to say some bullshit about what you said, and then you just had to be like rational about it. So like, fuck you. I was so ready to make this like some fucking eugenics Edward Overgold over here. Like I was so ready to do that.
Eugenics Eddie
had to be rational.
Eugenics
Had
Eddie.
to ruin it.
Everybody should just stop having children right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's
Cut
for
the
another
dicks off.
episode. Yeah, I'm
Clog the
saying, look,
uteruses.
hey, look, I'm just saying, mandatory vasectomies, and you got to apply to get it reversed. I don't think that's that crazy of an idea. That's not what we're talking about here, but I don't think that's crazy. Not to get
That's-
Gattaca on niggas, but I don't think
that's
that's
a
that
little
crazy.
crazy.
I don't think it's that
little-
crazy. I think that's pretty
See,
reasonable.
you're that villain.
It's like
Can't always
vaccination.
You're
reverse
that
them,
villain
bro.
with a great cause, but you're going about it all wrong.
We
can't
vaccinate
always reverse
niggas.
those
Why can't we
fucking-
vaccinate against kids? Think about it. Think about how much
Honestly,
suffering is caused
yeah.
by aberrant
Honestly,
child habits.
maybe, but like the reversal of like vasectomies is like
Yeah, no, I
vastly,
agree. Like practically, it doesn't make sense. But
practically,
but
it's
morally,
not as reversible. As
but
people
morally though,
think.
morally, do niggas really have a right to get people pregnant like that? I don't think. I'm waiting for the argument. Please explain it to me. Is that a legal right? I have the right to bust raw in people and get them pregnant?
it quite literally is a right. It quite literally is a constitutional thing. Which one? Which amendment is that? Somebody help me out. Is it?
It's a nut busting amendment.
It's the-
That's
right,
crazy.
right.
Yeah, ain't no fucking
so-
way. It's a nut busting amendment, nigga. Hold on.
So there's an amendment.
Man, I
There's an
gotta
amendment
read.
that
Man, I
basically
was not paying
says
attention
that basically
in social
says
studies
like
class. That's crazy.
No.
That's in the Constitution.
there's an amendment that basically says you are free to do everything that like makes you happy that doesn't infringe upon like the freedoms or rights. Like,
that's
enumerated,
broad.
like in
my
no, but that's the point. I want to
That'll
say
still fall
it's
under.
either the 9th or the 14th, but like it's broad for that purpose. Like it's literally broad for that purpose.
I'm saying it's broad because I'm saying everything falls under that, and the second clause of that, unless it infringes on the rights of others.
That's the point, motherfucker.
Hold on. Unless it infringes on the rights of others is the point. Aberrant child, like just having mad kids, does get in the way of the rights of everyone, including but mostly that child.
You're
like,
onto something here, motherfucker.
of course I'm on to something, man. What are you talking about? You think I
What
didn't
the
think
fuck
about
you
this
mean?
shit?
Of course I'm on to something. What the
Oh
fuck you talking
man,
about, bro?
I got a manifesto, bro. It's dropping in June. Come on.
I think it's the 14th Amendment. Please don't get on me fucking TikTok or wherever the fuck we posted. I think it's the 14th. I think 9th is the Commerce Clause, right? Somebody please fucking bail me out.
I don't know.
God damn it. I want to say 9th is the Commerce Clause.
I know it's 10. I know
wanna
it's
say
10 of them.
14th.
And I know the first one is I can
say
shoot
it's fucking
people and I
10
can say
amendments?
shit.
Seeing, bro. This
Motherfucker,
nigga's
it's a bill.
He's like, I know it's 10 of them shits.
Wait,
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
14
You got
includes
the 13th
10.
Amendment, bro.
No, 14 includes 10. I'm saying it's at least
My
10.
nigga, there are more.
It's
there,
the Bill of
there are
Rights.
more than 10 amendments, bro. You say I know it's 10
I know
amendments.
it's 10.
It
I know
is.
it's 10 of them. I know it's 10 of them shits.
There are.
Yeah, I didn't say only 10. I said it's 10. That
Fair
includes
enough.
11 and 12.
Fair
Well,
enough.
whatever. All right,
Fair
cool.
enough.
Can we move on?
Yeah, y'all saw that clip of Michelle. She was on some podcast or something like that, and she was
Yeah,
saying
bro.
like
She was on fucking a podcast, right? Fucking like
did not
Beyonce's
see
mama
this,
and
but-
like Kelly Rowland was on that shit.
yeah, it was something like that. But it's not like okay,
It's
so
like Revolt
so
TV, right?
it looked like it was something like that. So I'll give context and then you give your take, Alvin, since you've got some strong feelings. So she was talking about how it was great with Barry, but as soon as they had a kid, there was like a 10-year period where she like low key, I don't know if she used this word, but hated this nigga.
She used the word.
And she said that
Hated
the
him?
reason did not fuck with this nigga for like 10 years of their marriage.
Young couples, I see them giving up too fast, right? Because we don't talk about how much work is required and how hard it is. There were 10 years when I couldn't stand my husband. You know?
do say that.
When those kids were little, right? You know, you can be all great individually when you're just married. You got your life, he's got his. You come together. It's all, ooh, good to see you. Bye. Take it easy. Good. I get to hang out and watch the TV I want to watch.
Right.
But the minute we had kids, it was like, where are you going? And how far? And you start measuring. It's like, how many diapers did you change? And oh, you're golfing?
And she said it was because once you have a kid, in the past, like kind of like before pre-kid, neglect kid is kind of like if your husband or wife don't want to hang out with you or they're being a dick or whatever, you can go do something. But once you have a kid, you have this shared project that has to get done. So if they go off doing some other shit or y'all are having a falling out, that project still has to get done. So if they fail to do their half, you still got to be changing diapers while this nigga's out playing golf. And they struggled a lot with that relationship. But then eventually things equalized out and they found themselves there. And then she ended, her main point at the end was like, marriage is tough. It can be really tough. And I would rather take those 10 years in combination with the 30 incredible years altogether that we've had. And I'm glad that we did it, but it ain't easy. So that was her point. But Alvin, sound like you got a list. You checking it twice.
So my thoughts in regards to that clip was, so one of the things that she noted was that marriage is never even.
Okay.
And I think that I can get behind that, because no matter what I can do, I can't bear and give birth to a child. I think the child bearing and like birth process means that like
Agreed.
no matter what I do, like that's dangerous, especially for women of color.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be. Like, we can fix that. It's very much a structural issue that we can. Yeah. It's 100% racism. Yeah. So I don't think in the context of where we are right now, me being a black man, that's, 100% attracted to women of color, not only, but like definitely that's my preference.
Did you mean to say black women? Did you mean to say black women, or did you mean to say women of color?
So I'm attracted to women of color, but yeah,
I mean for like what you were saying just then.
I meant what I was saying, because like it still is like dangerous for all like women of color.
Oh,
like, outside
interesting.
Of, like, Asian, yeah, like
because I was gonna say, I was like Asian
Latino
women also die in childbirth. Latino women,
Native American women. So yeah, Native American men and women have like worse health outcomes basically across the board.
My understanding is they not doing well.
They are like, it is like we have like a larger voice because it's more of us, because genocide and all that kind of shit. But like Native American men and women have like the worst like outcomes of basically any category you can think of.
It's a very common outcome for First Nations.
But just to clarify, Alvin's preference is black women. But I think that
let these niggas know.
Yeah, I think that point that she brought up is true. But I think that I 100% strive toward. Like some of the stuff that she mentioned was like she was keeping track of like how many diapers that you're doing. I think that like as a man, knowing that you carried it, I think I would rather lean on the edge of like doing more than what the vast majority of men do.
Where it ain't
and
no doubt.
I want to continue to drive home the fact that relative to other men, black men have been noted in several studies to be more involved in their child care than other men. So I want to make that very clear, but like it is still not equal. So I would say that like when I saw that, I had a very visceral reaction of like, man, I never want my
to feel like that.
I never want my lady to feel like she can't come to me and be like, skip golf. You know what I mean? Like fucking skip golf, man. Like, like
okay.
I wanna fucking be there for my kids. I wanna I wanna change 80% of the diapers. I wanna fucking give 90% of the bottles. Like it was very tough for me to watch, because like I feel like we're not compensating for like what they go through in a lot of situations. And I'm not saying that like,
who was he going to golf with? Just saying, nigga became president.
Because like a lot of I mean, that shit might be part of it. It is part of the job, because like that's where they do a lot of networking. That's where they striking a lot of deals. Motherfucker might not be president if he wasn't on that golf course. I'm not.
That's what I'm saying.
You got to understand their relationship. I mean, so like this is the Obamas, right? This is the Obamas, right? So Michelle was the breadwinner. She was the associate.
She was holding it down
at Sidley Austin, right? They met when he did an internship. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They met when he was doing an internship.
Right?
Yeah, she was the associate that he reported to when he was doing an internship, right?
Yeah.
So she came out and she was in the field fucking doing this shit, and he was being fucking community organizer / like state senator, making fucking like probably $40K like Barack Obama. Like she was carrying them. So like she's carrying you financially, and like she's like carrying and like giving birth to these kids. I mean,
but
like
was she at the time of these conversations? You know what I'm saying?
So she said 10 years. So like. They had 10 years prior, and then there was that 10 years,
the
and then there's 10 years
was
after.
only during the period of the childbearing.
Yeah. So she was talking about a 30-year period, right?
Okay.
And she was saying that 10 years of that 30-year period, she hated him. So like there was a 10-year period where like she was very happy, and I'm assuming a 10-year period after that where she was very happy. But like during a lot of this, like, this nigga wasn't making no money, bro. This nigga was community organizing. This nigga was a state senator. This nigga was not like even a full senator, like, of Illinois, like during all of that period,
first
right?
babies.
Yeah, like this nigga like was climbing the political ladder. So like, while I will admit it clearly worked out for Michelle.
That's what I'm saying.
But what I want to say is like when like people are looking at her example, like, come on, man, like,
I don't know. Like,
I don't know,
feel
man.
like
I just look at that and I took it as like I should do more.
If you're dating, a rapper or whatever, he's doing his mixtapes or whatever, while you're rearing the child, and you feel it's lopsided, I feel like there's definitely a conversation to be had. But if the conversation is, well, look, we're together investing in your career because you're going to be a Grammy-nominated, Grammy-winning artist, you're going to be president, you're going to be whatever, then I think you. But to your, I think that has to be an explicit conversation. I think you have to. Your wife should feel comfortable saying, "Stay home from golf. Shit ain't even. We need to discuss this." If this is what my job is going to be, is raising your fucking kids while you go out and live life, then we need to discuss what the fuck that is.
Now, let me ask you a question, Eddie. Okay. Let me ask you a question, right? Let's say I'm a Sidley Austin, like, associate, or like junior partner or whatever, or like I'm a hospital administrator, because her last job, as I recall it, was a hospital administrator making about $400K, right? Let's say like I'm making $400K, right? I'm the breadwinner of our house, right? And you have political aspirations, and you're like, you need to go like play golf with the head of the Teamsters, right? Because this is a part of your like mission to be like a political person, right? And like you're making basically nothing relative to me. I'm making $400K. I have the kids most of the time. Like, what's your like? How does that conversation go? I think like I do think that like we need to like have like two conversations. I think there's a conversation about like the Obamas in their context and like the context of like the regular everyday couple.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think we're saying this because we know the nigga became president. But imagine if he didn't.
Exactly.
And you have to,
imagine if a regular fucking nigga said that shit.
Yeah.
Imagine if a regular fucking nigga
president. Or even if it was just Obama and he just stayed senator, and it's like, really? You had me go through 10 years of bullshit raising your fucking kids so you can make $40,000 a year, and I was making $400,000? But I think also it goes back to that dream conversation, which is that, like, I think you just have to have, like, yo, are you game for him to invest in whatever this thing is? And are you game to? And if the answer is no, then he doesn't get to do that. And I think that's a very fair. It's like, no, I, as your wife, I'm saying you can't play golf. And it's not like I forbid you. I'm saying I am not going to raise these kids by myself. And I think that's a very fair thing for that. I don't think it's disrespectful. I don't think it's a woman being like not submissive enough or any of that bullshit. I think it's very fair to go, I'm not doing this. You change this fucking diaper. I know you want to, but I'm not willing to do free labor doing your half of the child rearing in order for you to get your music career up off the ground, or get your political career off the ground. Figure out a way to do it. Otherwise, I'm not doing that. Now, if she signs up to do that, then cool, you do it. But I think you have the conversation. And if it's no, then it's just like, well, it's no. Like, we can't have kids, or because no nigga would take that deal, or not no nigga, but like a lot of niggas would not take that deal if their wife said, hey, I want to become like a concert cellist, and so I got to go out with like cello directors, and I got to go talk to program managers and go out to dinners with artsy niggas, and I got to do that. You go ahead and raise these kids, because one day I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna be playing at the Adult Swim Festival, and it's like niggas are not by and large are
not taking that deal.
Niggas are not taking
by
that
and
deal.
large
So a woman
not
should
taking
not
that shit.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Michelle, though. You know what I'm saying? You picked a good one. You know what I'm saying?
She got lucky, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you think so?
She got the one.
You think that was just pure luck? Because she did say she made that nigga.
So like she did make that nigga, like, just being frank. But also, like, when I say like she got lucky, like,
you need the materials.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this motherfucker like graduated from Columbia undergrad, went to fucking like Harvard Law. Like, if like this political shit didn't work out for him, like, he could have just got a fucking job. Yeah. He could have just got a fucking job. You know what I mean? Like his worst case scenario was like, oh, now I make $300K and I'm not president. Whatever will I do?
Yeah. Oh. They would have been fine. I mean, they would have been very rich, wealthy black people. Because was Audacity of Hope before he was even president?
No, Dreams of My Father was before he was president.
So he was already like a best-selling author or some shit before this shit, wasn't he?
Yeah. The sales of that picked up after he became president.
But it was successful even before, though.
It was successful before.
Yeah.
But like Dreams of My Father was before he was president. Audacity of Hope was after presidency. Well, during presidency.
You know who else is a great vocalist? Luther Vandross. Top 10. Top 10. I'm just thinking of Dreams. Was it Dreams? What was it?
Dance with My Father.
Dance with My Father. I was just thinking about that when you said Dreams with My Father. I was like, yeah, Dance with My Father. That's a banger of a song. It's a banger of a song, and one of the few that was like, I'm pretty sure he wrote that, because most of his other bangers are covers.
Not even covers, but like also features. Like I'm thinking that shit with Cheryl Land. Like that shit. That shit's a fucking feature. Like it's like featuring Luther Vandross.
Damn. I would say he's one of the top 5 male vocalists. I say, yeah.
At bare minimum, top 10. At bare minimum.
Yeah. At bare minimum. Yeah, I give him that, because he's motherfucker got a voice on him. Goddamn.
The nigga could sing effortlessly, right? Like this nigga just like walk up to the mic and just be like, "Oh,
yeah,
ooh, yeah." Like
and he was great live. Like that's or is he alive?
No.
Okay. Oh no, because the Luther Burger. Yeah, he passed away. Yeah. Okay.
What?
Because didn't he die of like congenital heart failure?
He had a stroke, and I think he died of complications of the stroke.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, all right. I think that's the pod. Any closing notes on any of those topics? Well, look, guys. If you see your parent treating you as property, you might be seeing a red flag. But if you out playing golf and making $40K a year, leaving your wife doing all the fucking child rearing shit, might be you just waving the red flag. It's been Waving the Red Flag podcast. It's been Eddie, Josh, Alvin. Come through on Patreon if you want to give. Oh fuck, bro. I forgot to cover the fucking Patreon question.
Do it now. Do it now, nigga. Do it now.
It's like, do you think we can do it in like under 10 minutes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I saw the Patreon.
Okay. So if y'all want to send through questions and have us like prioritize them as shit that we talk about on the pod, Patreon is the place to do that. We check all of those messages. We address them on the pod. And if you want to talk to us live. So we're going to do this to close out, and then we're going to end it. All right, so cool. Patreon member asked us, hey, team, I've been really enjoying you guys' take on life, and I was wondering if you could answer a question for me. Basically, I used to be quite toxic. Took a few years to myself to address the old abandonment issues and file down my edges. I'm happier than ever and ready to get back into dating, situationships, but I keep getting this feedback that I'm too nice. So I've taken that to mean that I've lost my edge, and that let me have more success. Back in the day. Sort of broccoli versus fries and all that. Anyway, how do I cultivate an edge without compromising all the progress I've made? P.S. I've been in hospitality and sales since I was 18. I'm a 29-year-old male, and that friendliness is more instinct than anything these days. I just don't know how to be playfully mean anymore.
Josh, as the resident,
that's what I'm saying. As the resident,
the resident Lothario, as the resident Cyrano de Bergerac over here, as a resident nigga that's like pulling, CAS, whenever he feels like it. You want to take this one first?
Let him know. Crack the knuckles.
I wonder. This sounds like a guy. First of all,
it is. Yeah, 29 male.
All right. Oh damn, yeah, I totally missed that Reddit shit. My brother, like if it sounds like you already have that edge in you because you was apparently toxic as fuck for a couple years, and I'm glad that you went through this reform and got healed and got to a better space, and now you're genuinely happy. But you don't need to be so nice. It's nothing wrong with being nice and treating people with respect. But I actually got some advice recently because, hey, my nigga, when I read this shit, I was like, my nigga, you preaching to the choir, my brother, because I feel you. Yeah. I'm right there with you. But I recently got some advice from a guy who, does really well out here in these streets, at will. And he was just telling me, like, you shouldn't be putting yourself into a certain box. Like, you don't have to be disrespectful, but you kind of got to let people know what type of time you want. You know what I mean? Like, and it's about kind of like innuendos, doing shit on your close friends, adding people to your close friends, and then like you might make like some, it might be 29 male after dark type shit. But you kind of got to let people know what type of time you're on and how you talk to them. If you're not necessarily trying to get to know them and be like in a super serious relationship with them, how you talk to them might be like too super sweet, too super attentive. Oh my God, how's your day going today? They're going to put you in this, oh, he's really trying to get to know me box when there's another nigga out there and he is in her. Oh, I want to fuck this nigga box. Like if I'm horny, I'm calling this nigga. This nigga
So
over
we
here
talking
asking me
about-
how my day is every day. You know,
So are we talking about cultivating hoe energy a little bit? Is that kind of what
a
we're
little
getting
bit.
at?
You gotta have
Okay.
the edge, baby. The edge. You gotta
Okay,
cultivate.
I
yeah,
see what you're. Yeah,
it's
you
the
gotta
edge.
you gotta slut it up a little because I really don't have an
Yeah.
answer. Like I almost don't even want it because I don't know the answer to this and I have questions about it. But that's an interesting one. So it's kind of like you gotta make it apparent to the world without making anybody uncomfortable. You gotta make it apparent to the world that you are a sexual being that is out here. Is that kind of
Low-key.
what we're getting at? Yeah.
Low key.
Right. So
Yeah,
the way you
so,
post,
I
the way you
mean-
talk, the way you move, like you're not harassing nobody, but you're just going, look, the way I'm in these streets moving. I think that there's something to like, you ain't got to say I'm gonna eat your pussy, but to say, hey, I do eat pussy is like, it doesn't hurt for folks to know.
Well, you know, it could be a goddamn some toxic ass post from Spirit World or some shit. Oh my God, I really want to eat some pussy.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't.
Hop on Twitter and just say, hey, look, man, I sure wish somebody was sitting on my face. You don't gotta, not to.
Yeah.
sorry.
Again, don't make nobody uncomfortable,
Yeah, I'm
but you can
sorry.
just put it in the ether.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
you kind of gotta. Yeah.
My thing is like, so I agree with everything that Josh has said. As a person who's like dealt with those thoughts historically, like I understand. What I will also say is that you don't necessarily have to change who you are, like naturally and innately. Somebody will like fall for that shit. And I will say that like I think that like a lot of niggas like have this idea. They're like, oh, like she's only going for the toxic niggas. Do. I swear to God, there's like such a market. Like the toxic field is oversaturated. There's such a market for niggas that like are like good niggas and like will fucking like respect you. Like I think that you gotta like play the cards right once you get in the door. Just being frank. And I think that how you play the cards once you get in the door is a very nuanced ad hoc conversation. But I think that being the nice guy, assuming that the entire package, the broccoli versus fries conversation coming back in, assuming that your entire package is solid, if you're a nice guy, there's 100% a market for like a deemed physically attractive, like an intelligent, a person that could take care of himself, like nice guy. I think that's what most women would say they want. Now, what you got to do is like figure out like how you sustain interest from an ad hoc nuanced perspective once you get your foot in the door. And I think that's where Josh's like conversation comes into play. That's 100% where that's a thing.
Man, my brother, not necessarily,
streets.
because I will stand on this. I wholeheartedly believe that there are more good women out there than there are good men. However, the margin between the two the chasm between the two is not that deep. Like, cause these women is out here, they want to fuck too. They place dudes in categories as well. And this man said, I'm looking to date and get into situationships. He ain't said I'm looking to get serious. Now, if he was looking to get serious and find himself a wife right now, I would be absolutely. But even still, you still got to have a little bit of edge to you. You got to put some cheese and some goddamn some
Bacon bits.
some vegan,
spring
yeah,
onions.
some vegan
yeah,
bacon, at least some
scallions,
vegan
yeah.
bacon on that
At least a
motherfucker.
little
You know,
bit.
some
Some vegan
scallions.
bacon.
You gotta have a little bit of spice, just a little bit of edge. Now, I'm not saying that if you are a totally nice guy, you'll never find a woman, because that's absolutely not true. There are a lot of good women out there who have probably been done wrong a lot, and then they finally are like, okay, well, I understand how I should be treated. This actually feels right to me. But just it's a bare fact that a lot of women don't even understand what it means to be treated right, and they don't even see it when it's in front of them. It doesn't do anything for them.
I think that's really true. I think that's true for everybody, but you're totally right. I think we don't have models for,
So
Yeah,
I will say,
same with guys. Yeah.
yeah, I will say two things. So like I've 100% been in the situation where like I was just trying to fuck, and like women got the wrong message because like after we just fucked, like I treated them like a person. Like I was willing to take them to like, oh, like, like we just fucked or whatever. Like, let's go to
Yeah.
Waffle House.
Yeah.
Oh, we just fucked or whatever. Let's go to IHOP.
Yeah.
Like, you're a person. I like you. I think you're a cool person. You know, I just
you're
don't
good at
want
sex.
XYZ.
Yeah.
But I will also say that like the amount of women that, because like just being frank, Alvin gets put in like the
was
big
about to say
brother
Alvin gets
role
pussy.
quite a freak. No, Alvin gets put in the because I'm not in the market. I'm not in the market.
Let's be frank. Alvin gets pussy.
No, so I'm not in the market. So like, what happens, because people are fully aware that I'm not in the market, like what happens is I get put in the big brother role, like the let me talk to you role, kind of a lot.
Yes.
So like most of the women that I talk to are like, hey man, I'm fucking late 20s, early 30s. Like I'm down to just fuck. Like just let me know. Like I'm down to just fuck a guy who will like fuck me and like be willing to like fucking like take me to fucking Five Guys afterwards. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's underrated.
Yeah. That's a
I feel like that's
situationship.
100%. Yeah, I feel like that's 100% underrated. And I think that like the OP or the Patreon in this situation could benefit from tapping into that market, even though I understand that what Josh is saying is also a reality of the dating pool. I just think that we're talking about a distribution, right? We're talking about distribution, and there's different people in different like segments of the distribution. I just think he's got to find where he fits in and where like that relationship situationship clicks for him.
What should he like? If we're summarizing it up for old boy to give him the advice, what should he be doing either to get his edge back or to reassess if edge getting back is even the right way of approaching it? Like, what should he do in like 3 sentences or less?
Define if you're just trying to have sex and have fun. First, define that. Move from there. If you're trying to get into like a serious relationship, then that might be how you approach women might be just a little bit different, because at the end of the day, you still want to be a good person. Well, you still want to. You don't want to be out here threatening anybody. You know what I'm saying? Or making anybody worse off than when you kind of left them or came to them. But after that, baby, if you're just trying to fuck, hey, you can scale back on all that nice shit, because like you don't need to pull up to the date doing a lot of extra stuff. And I can hear women be like, "Oh my God, I would love it if a nigga did that." It's like, yeah, if the right nigga did it, but most niggas ain't the right nigga.
Yeah,
so
you love it if these
can
niggas
scale
which
back.
is true of like, yeah, everybody wants to be treated nicely by somebody that they already want to fuck. I think that's pretty normal here.
Yeah, and so you can scale back a little bit on the nice shit, but I mean, I don't know him, so I can't tell him exactly what he is and what he ain't doing.
Yeah,
but if he's being overly
come on
nice,
to live, man. Come on to live. We'll
we might be able to get into some specifics of this, because I'm very curious about because the feedback of I'm too nice, I look at that a little bit with the grain of salt. I'm like, because I don't know. I don't know if that's a real. I'm not saying it's never happens.
What's your thoughts on this Azzy Beats?
Well, okay. First of all, like I said, I don't.
I know that's why I asked this motherfucker. That's why I asked this motherfucker like point blank. Yeah,
goddamn, just had pussy raining down, boy. Bro, Eddie could fuck a bitch in a dump truck.
I know what I'm saying. Like this nigga fucking put this fucking
and not in the passenger area.
Yeah, in the garbage. Goddamn.
This nigga fucking align their chakras and shit. And this motherfucker come through wearing his fucking bangles and fucking 18 karat gold necklace and shit. Like fuck.
Yeah, I don't know why y'all align to these people like this, but I sometimes think this idea of like women saying you're like too nice is not. Sometimes that is true. But a lot of times it's like you're getting that as the feedback, but it's not that you're too nice, it's that you're boring. And I'm not saying that that's true of you, but I really like to get more context of like where are you even getting this feedback? Because like you don't like when do niggas get feedback? Like you asking somebody out and then they say no, and then you say, well, why? And they go, oh, you're just too nice. It's like
I've got feedback before. So like
okay.
it's been from like women that like there may or may not have been something, and then we ultimately just became like really good friends. So like I have gotten feedback like pretty trustworthy feedback,
okay.
but I think that your point stands.
Yeah, because you're saying if you're getting lots of the same feedback, I'm just wondering like why are you in situations where you're asking folks a lot, that kind of thing. So I'm wondering if it's maybe like it's not so much that you're too nice, it's that like you're maybe not showing your edge, and your edge isn't to do with kindness or anything. It's just like your edge is not. It's been dulled for whatever reason, and it's hard to get that back. So I see your conundrum, and I wish I had better advice, but these two have given like pretty solid starting points. So yeah, that's it. We gotta close this bitch out. This is gonna be a lot of shit to edit. All right. I know you're not talking about somebody's speech impediment, bro. All right, so this has been Waving the Red Flag podcast.
That's me. It's not you.
Oh, okay, cool. I already did the, da-da-da-da-da. So like, subscribe, let us know what you think. See y'all next week. And Merry Christmas. See your family or don't. You know what I'm saying? I understand. Sometimes the holiday season can be a stressful situation. And Merry Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, and yeah. Peace.
Happy holidays.
Have yourself, a merry little season.
A merry little.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let
holiday.
nothing you dismay.
May your dick get wet. And if you're into it, make sure you're having a lot of sex.
I am
My
drunk.
nuts resting on a girl's forehead.
Two labias resting on my little
nose.
face.
Put this on
Many
Spotify.
times,
This
many
is the
ways.
comedy
See
album.
mousse leaking on my nose. Though it's been said many times, many ways.
Suck my dick, please. Okay.
That semen's on its way.
I haven't stopped recording. You keep going.
How you stop it?
I haven't stopped.
I was waiting.
Haven't stopped. I haven't stopped. You can keep
Wait,
going.
did you catch it?
I mean, I still got it. I mean, I'm recording.
Okay,
but
then we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you still got it. We got it. Cool. Damn, because that was clean.